Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aaron with Aaron Fixes Stuff. Today is going to be a quick video on how to replace a kitchen faucet. So the homeowner called me and said that their old faucet was leaking water under the sink. Looking at it pretty quickly, I could tell the faucet itself had a leak in it. And unfortunately what happened is the nut that holds the faucet to the actual sink got pretty rusty. So I started off by using some WD-40 to kind of clear through that rust, and I let it sit for a couple of minutes. So through the magic of editing, a couple of minutes have gone by. I next used a dull old chisel and used a hammer to create some divots in the nut um, to force it to start turning. It took some elbow grease, but after a couple of minutes it started getting loose, and eventually became loose enough for me to be able to undo it by hand. I'm going to cut this hose from the bottom just to make it easier to get the faucet out, as opposed to trying to mess around with it where I have no access, since I'm going to be getting rid of this. So I'm just going to cut this hose, put something under there to get rid of all the water that's in the hose, and then I'm just going to pull the faucet out from the top. Now that I got everything disconnected, I can just pull the old faucet out and then start working on installing the new one. Next is cleaning off the counter from all that rust and nastiness. Just going to use a paper towel at first, and I'm going to use some cleaner, and then kind of scrape it off. And I'm going to finish it off using a blade to kind of really get it nice and clean. So most kitchen faucets have an option for a 3-hole or a single hole, and you can also kind of put the trim piece down like this, or you can also use it without the trim piece. The homeowner in this case preferred it without the trim piece. On this faucet, all it needed was just a little rubber gasket to seal it, and you'll see it kind of connects to the bottom of it. There's like a divot for it to fit in. So I pulled the faucet out to show how the faucet will be secured. So in this case, it has this little washer that slides up, and then there's a nut that you close. The nice thing about this Moen one is it has a tool that'll actually help you. One more thing, do yourself a favor when you're picking up a new faucet, buy one that has the supply hoses connected already. It's going to save you a ton of time and it's going to make the job a lot easier. I highly recommend them. They're much easier, it's less to fidget with, and it's one less spot that's potentially going to leak. All right, well, so we're back to the bottom view. I'm going to secure the faucet to the countertop. So I slid that mounting washer on and then put the nut under it and start tightening. And I'm going to use the tool that Moen provided to secure it all the way to the end, as opposed to trying to figure out how to get a wrench or whatever pair of pliers up in there. So that tool that they provided is pretty cool and pretty handy. So I don't know if you can tell, but right over here, the cold supply line actually got stuck, or pinched, I should say, underneath that washer. And I didn't notice it while I was installing it. And later on, you're going to see that the cold water didn't work. And at first, I thought that maybe the faucet was defective. And then I came back and took a look, and I could tell that I pinched the supply line. So I'm going to leave that part where I kind of struggled with it, but then I'm going to show at the end how it works. When I tightened it, I made sure that the base moves, they say 55 to 60 degrees on either side. And we definitely had that. So I just wanted to make sure that that part was working. So thumbs up. All right, next we're going to slide the hose through the void in the faucet and down to the cabinet below. Next is the weight. The purpose of the weight is to make sure that the hose retracts when you're done using it. So this one, some of them you have to screw on. This one you just kind of drop on there, and then you're done with it. Another nice thing about this faucet is the hose just clicks in. Just make sure you hear the click and you're good to go. I had to use a 12-inch extension hose for the cold water supply just because of where the valve is. If you look, it's kind of off to the right. Whoever did the plumbing on this kitchen really didn't do the best job. So the plumbing is kind of wonky. So I just added one of those extension supply lines to make it reach. When connecting the supply hoses to the valve, make sure you're not over tightening. I know that it's a common thing where people think that, the tighter the better. It's really not true. It just needs to be snug, and then give it a little bit extra, kind of what I'm doing now with the wrench. And once you get some resistance, just stop. That's a good amount. All right, I'm going to turn on the valves. There's the cold, there's the hot, and we should be good to go, or at least I thought so. So this was all the warm water. Once I switched over to the cold, it really wasn't working. The hot was. So I went back under the sink. I didn't do it on camera. Located where I had pinched the supply hose, made sure it wasn't damaged in any way, and then reconnected it. And this time there's the cold and the hot works as well. And we are good to go. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful. Keep in mind that this is a specific model that I installed. Generally speaking, they're going to be mostly the same. If you have any questions, comment below. If you have any feedback about what I did or didn't do, comment below. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it to be helpful. I appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing or giving me a thumbs up. Thank you for your time once again, and have a good day.